Batman Arkham Shadow has laid the ground for many things to come if they were to pursue more Arkham games. Now, Batman Arkham Shadow takes place after Arkham Origins and Origins Blackgate, and it advances the story and the lore for the Arkham verse. We have the debut of Two-Face Harvey Dent. He is Two-Face by the end of the game. We heard the introduction of Jonathan Crane fully as a person. He's kind of doing his experiments. Harley Quinn is still there as Harleen Quinzel. There is introduction to a lot of characters in the Arkham games in this one, and they lay the groundwork for future things to come if more Arkham games were to be made. Now, it looks like the future of Arkham will be in the terms of prequel games, more prequel games following the lines of Arkham Shadow, using the Arkham Origins voice cast, because we have a while to go until the events of Batman Arkham Asylum happen. So until Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman and Joker don't need to sound like Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. They can still sound like Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker. So Arkham Shadow laid the groundwork for a lot of future stuff to come, and there is still future stuff to come that can be explored and happen that was hinted in previous Arkham games as well, which we'll get to. So I just wanted to go over what are some things that future Arkham games could touch upon and be about. So the first thing I want to talk about is Poison Ivy. There was a lot of references in Arkham Shadow to Pamela Isley herself. We find out from Alfred that Pamela was one of Jonathan Crane's contacts in like a the Gotham Botanical Institute or something like that. There is a radio thing that says that Pamela Isley and Dr. Jason Woodrow have gotten clearance to do their experiment. You can call Poison Ivy's flower shop from Arkham City, and they will mention that, we are very pleased to hear that our own Dr. Pamela Isley is doing research, like stuff like that. So I feel like Poison Ivy's birth is coming. And taking where Arkham Shadow takes place, Batman Arkham Shadow takes place on the 4th of July, and then a couple days after, right? Takes place around there. If you are to infer when Poison Ivy's Arkham interview tapes happen, where she says it's the anniversary of my birth, when all that type of stuff. And then the doctor says, are you referring to the incident with Dr. Woodrow? It's like, okay, so her turn to Poison Ivy is coming pretty quickly, and I have no doubt that a future Arkham game would touch upon it. And I think it's right there for the taking. Poison Ivy could be the next villain for an Arkham game, or at least her origin would take place in the next Arkham game. That's something they could touch upon. I think another thing they could also touch upon is Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane very much is already on his way to becoming Scarecrow. He's still conducting his fear experiments on the people in Blackgate, trying to find their shadow and all that type of stuff. Batman's very already looking into him as the course of this game goes along. So he's not long for becoming the full Scarecrow. I would hope that whenever an Arkham game touches upon his full transformation into Scarecrow, they of course adhere to the Arkham Asylum interview tapes, where Scarecrow takes some doctors hostage and performs experiments on them, and Batman stops him. So I hope that when Scarecrow's full transformation is touched upon, they do stick to the lore, but I think he's also very close to becoming Scarecrow as well. Something else that they could touch upon is, of course, Harley Quinn's transformation into Harley Quinn. Harleen Quinzel is very much already on the path to becoming Harley Quinn. She's being influenced by the Joker very heavily, which is something I did touch upon in a previous video. I'm not too keen on, because her transformation is very much Mad Love inspired, right? It's very much inspired by the Mad Love story. And, if you look at her Arkham tapes where Joker, turns her into Harley Quinn, it's very much Mad Love. But then you go via Arkham Origins, and she briefly met him in Blackgate, which I was fine with. It's the brief meeting, right? A brief meeting is fine. But then Arkham Shadow delves into it more, that she's seeing him on a regular basis. She already calls him Mr. J. And they had a patient interview tape with the two of them where they're very friendly already together. So it's like that kind of muddies her turd a bit. Not by much. You can still kind of say, the mad love thing can happen, but it looks like it's already kind of happening. So they could have her full turn in a future Arkham game, which, again, would be fine. Something else I would like to see is Edward Nygma's full turn into the Riddler. In Arkham Origins, he leaves the data packs for you to find, and he's just referred to as Nygma or Enigma. And by the end, once you get all the data packs and you find his base, there is a Riddler trophy. So he is already, kind of got his Riddler personality or identity kind of figured out. But in Arkham Shadow, there really is no indication the Riddler is at large. So I would like a proper introduction to Edward Nygma as the Riddler. I think that would be good. In the next Arkham game or a future Arkham game, just the proper, he is Riddler now, type of thing. Something else I would like touched upon is right here. This is a storyline that was introduced in an Arkham game, but has not been finished since. It's kind of been left on a cliffhanger. And that is Lady Shiva. We never figure out what happened after. Batman, after the side mission with Lady Shiva, he doesn't mark it closed. It's still open, It's just paused for now. So I would very much like a follow-up to that. A future Arkham game could follow up on Lady Shiva, and we get more about what she's doing here, all that. Maybe it could tie into the League of Assassins, but it doesn't look like Lady Shiva in Arkham games is connected to the League of Assassins. Looks like she's assigned with the sensei, I believe, the guy who trained Bruce Wayne in the Initiation DLC. So she's more tied into that than the League of Assassins. So, a follow-up to that would be very greatly appreciated. It doesn't have to be a full-on, main game thing. And I'm not saying any of these ideas need to be full-on, the whole game needs to be based around it. But they could be dealt with in another game. Something else that really needs to be dealt with is Leslie Tompkins. Her inclusion into the Arkham games, it was a welcome one. I don't hate Leslie Tompkins being here. I just kind of am iffy on the whole. Now she was this huge, big part of Bruce's life type of thing. And then in the future games, she gets nary a mention. So something's got to happen to Leslie. So there's two possible ways that this can go. One, Leslie dies. Leslie can have a death, or maybe a traumatic death that Bruce is so distraught over, he just doesn't bring her up. We don't talk about Leslie because of how her death has affected Bruce. That could be one. The other one is they have what happened in the comics, which is Bruce kind of disowns her. In the comics, this disownment for Leslie Tompkins came about with Stephanie Brown's death. Stephanie Brown was shown to be murdered, and Leslie Tompkins actually saved Stephanie Brown. She faked Stephanie Brown's death and all that. But she still let everyone believe Stephanie was dead, including Bruce. And she still berated Bruce for it, saying, you led another kid to die and all that stuff. And then when Bruce found out, Stephanie's alive and Leslie took part in it, he was not very happy and pretty much said goodbye. And Leslie's involvement in the comics has greatly diminished since. I don't think she's even shown up since. Or if she has, it's been small cameos, not involved in much. So it could be something like that, where they just have a fallout with each other, right? Leslie and Bruce, they have a fallout with each other, maybe because of Harvey Dent and his transformation to Two-Face, and they just don't talk anymore. Bruce doesn't want to talk to Leslie anymore. Could be something like that. Another thing from Arkham Shadow is Joe Chill. Joe Chill was introduced in Batman Arkham Shadow, and we don't get to fully see what happens after him. We get to know he is Joe Chill, and he feels regret for what he did to the Waynes, and he knows Bruce Wayne's Batman. So I would like a little thing in a future Arkham game where we follow up on this. It doesn't have to be anything big, but maybe like a one type of scene thing where Bruce and Joe meet each other and speak one-on-one together. Just something like that to fully end off the Joe Chill thing, and Bruce can get maybe some closure there with Joe Chill. I spoke earlier about Lady Shiva and the League of Assassins. Well, yeah, let's have a little story where we get to see the first meeting of Batman meeting Ra's al Ghul and the League getting interested in Batman for the very first time. I think that would be really cool. That could be a game main plot right there. Batman's first encounter with the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul. That could be super fun right then and there. I'm all for seeing, the beginning of Ra's al Ghul wanting Batman to be his successor in this world. So, that could be also introducing Talia right then and there. Maybe we can have Nyssa show up a bit because Batman knows who she is in Arkham Knight. So, I am maybe in this game you could have both Nyssa and Talia be loyal, but during the course of the game is when Nyssa's doubts start to creep in, and by the end she kind of leaves. You could do that. That'd be nice. That also explains why Nyssa's gone in Arkham City, So, yeah, I think the first introduction to the League of Assassins would be very interesting. Another one I think would be interesting is Batman mentions in Arkham City when Alfred tells him, these symbols belong during the Azrael mission to the Order of Saint Dumas. And Batman just says, just what I need, another cult. Which it does imply. Someone is like, hey, that implies he's met another cult before. And people are like, oh, well, it could be League of Assassins. I've seen some people say maybe it's the Court of Owls. So we could finally get the payoff from Arkham Origins and get Batman facing the Court of Owls. I would all be for that, do the proper Batman Arkham Court of Owls story that people wanted, which we saw WB Montreal adapted that into Gotham Knights, which was... that was a game, I guess. If you are being nice about it, I guess we can say Gotham Knights was a video game that happened. But, finally we can maybe get the full Arkham payoff. Right? Like the full payoff in an Arkham game of Batman taking on the Court of Owls. I would be super down for that. So we could do that. The Court of Owls could get their own game. That would be sweet. They should get more. I love the Court of Owls. And next up, all I have here finally as some stuff that the Arkham games could do is some adaptations of comic book stories that we know has taken place in this timeline. So, Killing Joke. We see in Arkham Knight when Joker paralyzes Barbara. It looks like that might be the only thing from the Killing Joke that they take, which is Joker shot Barbara to get to Commissioner Gordon and left her there, right? But, we could adapt more from the Killing Joke if you wanted to. You don't have to, but you could adapt a bit more from the Killing Joke. Something really big they could take is Death in the Family. Show us Jason Todd's abduction. Show us that full abduction. They show us in Arkham Knight via Joker flashbacks the torture he did to Jason. And, how he sent Batman the videotape of Jason's death. So we could get a game that kind of gives us the lead up to that. Leading up to what caused Jason to get abducted. What were they doing that caused it? A bit of that, and then maybe we could see a bit of Batman going crazy trying to find Jason, knocking down, informants, breaking bones, going crazy, being like, where's Robin? We could get that. That could be fun. And then we get, cut-ins between those torture scenes, And the game could end with Batman getting the tape, that Jason is dead. And then finally, Nightfall. Nightfall has been very much stressed. It has happened that Bane broke Batman's back in Arkham Asylum. So we can get an adaptation of Nightfall. It's very clear that Nightfall did not happen the same way because Batman meets Azrael. The Azrael Batman meets is Michael Lay, not Jean-Paul Valley, And he's not really aware of the Order of Saint Dumas Hill Arkham City. So, and they dropped a bit of hints of the Order in Arkham Shadow, but Batman doesn't really know about the Order yet. Just that he scanned their symbols and there's some imagery and stuff that relates to the court, but Batman's not going into finding out about the court. So obviously the court of St. Dumas wasn't involved during Nightfall, or directly involved. But an adaptation of the whole Bane has broken Batman's back, and Batman's got to get back into shape, get ready to stop him. That could be fun to see delved into a future Arkham story, But that's it. That's me just spitballing on some stuff that the future Arkham games can touch upon, whether that is done by Camouflage themselves for VR, or other studios are given the go to delve into this world and expand, give us more prequel games and all that. So that's what I got. Let me know what you all think you would like to see future Arkham games deal with. And do you like some of my ideas? If you do, let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys all next time.